Hey guys, Technomentary with the video for you guys. In today's video, we're going to be comparing the iPhone XS here with the iPhone 7 Plus in a head-to-head comparison. We're going to take out the hardware, the software, and overall performance on iOS 14 for these devices in 2021 to break everything down for you guys, whether you're choosing between either of these devices or looking to upgrade from the 7 Plus to the XS. What can you really expect out of it? All of that and more in this video. Stay tuned. But before we go ahead and get started, if you guys are new to our channel, we do a lot of tech news, reviews, and giveaways, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you guys are in the market to buy one of the newer phones at a discounted price, make sure you guys check out the link in the description section. So let's go ahead and get started with today's video. First thing first is the release date of both of these two phones. The iPhone 7 Plus here was released in 2016 around the September timeframe, where Apple released its flagship phone, where the iPhone XS here came 2 years later in 2018, was released, where now you have sort of a redesign of the whole Apple iPhone, and a lot of things have changed, and we're going to look at it closely in this video. First thing you'll notice between these two phones is, of course, the color choices that you get out of the phone. Both of the phones come with the standard gold, space gray, and silver color, but along with that, on the iPhone 7 Plus, you also get the special edition color, which is a rose gold one. So that's the color difference you'll notice between these two phones. But if we look at the build of these phones, the first thing you notice is the camera. They're orientated slightly different. On the XS, it's up and down, where on the 7 Plus here, it's across here. So, but they both do feature that 12 megapixel camera. You'll also notice the body build of both of these phones are slightly different on the back here. The front is, of course, glass front here, but the back material, you'll notice XS is a glass back, and thanks to that glass back, it's able to do wireless charging. The 7 Plus is aluminum in body, and unfortunately it does not have wireless charging. The material used for the XS is the surgical grade stainless steel that Apple has introduced on it, where the 7 Plus is that aluminum body. It could be good in some ways. For example, if you drop the phone from a decent height, the XS will crack on the back like it does with the front, where on the 7 Plus, because of the aluminum body, probably get dent or something, but it will not crack. The front screen, of course, can crack because of that. And also the other noticeable thing you'll notice here, just slight difference, where under the iPhone 7 Plus here, you have these writings that's not here anymore. Apple has gone away with it. And if we look at other things of the body, you'll notice that the size difference between these two phones are different. A good comparison probably would be the XS Max to the 7 Plus Max, because Apple has renamed, starting with the XS Max, is that they went away from using the plus size convention for it. As you know, iPhone 6, 7, and 8 all has plus sizes. With the iPhone XS, you have the XS Max, 11 Pro Max, and the 12 Pro Max, and Apple does not use the plus notation, so that could be slightly confusing. But if you're really comparing apples to apples comparison, you probably want to do the Max with the 7 Plus. But this video is XS versus the 7 Plus, so we'll keep on continuing that review for you guys. You'll notice between these two phones, the body, because of the size difference, is that the XS is the smaller one. It's not the Max. You'll notice the body here being smaller compared to the Plus. How small? Or you might say, we'll look at this display to compare that. But you'll notice the weight between these two phones are very similar. The iPhone 7 Plus does weigh around 6.63 ounce, which is 188 grams, where the XS weighs around 6.24 ounce or 177 ounce. So 10 grams difference between it. Doesn't really feel much. They're about pretty much the same. And then the other comparison we want to do, if you take a look at the body, the sides here, both does have rounded edges here. The stainless steel on the XS does give you that more reflective shiny versus that matte on the 7 Plus here that we see, and that's all around it. And let's move on to the next piece of the comparison, is the display of these two phones. A lot has changed, as you notice, between these two phones display. The first thing first is the size display of it and the build of the LCD on these two devices. The iPhone XS here has that 5.8 diagonal all screen OLED display compared to the iPhone 7 Plus, which has a 5.5 widescreen LCD display with IPS technology, and the Retina on the iPhone XS is known as the Super Retina HD display compared to the iPhone 7 Plus here, which is just a regular Retina HD display. Can you really notice the Retina difference? Probably not, but one thing we want to mention, because of that OLED and that build of it, Apple has increased the price of the base starting point on these two phones. And we talk about price, we want to talk about the base storage between these two devices, which are slightly different build of it. To note between these two phones, if you're looking at the base storage, you'll notice that the base model on the 7 Plus here is only 32 gig, which is double on the XS, starting at 64 gig. But that's where the price difference comes in. And because of that OLED and that front and back being all glass, the iPhone XS at the original price starts at $999 compared to the 7 Plus, which when it was released in 2016 was around $649. So almost $400 difference between the starting price of these two phones. A huge price increase. Of course, if we talk about the storage, 32, you're able to actually get the iPhone 7 Plus a max storage of 256 gigs. So that's the most you can get out of it. But if you're looking for even a bigger size phone, that's where the XS comes in. You're able to get the capacity almost at 512 gig, which is pretty much what Apple has maxed out even on the 12 lineup. So 512 gig versus the max of 256 gigs. So more storage, you're going to go with the XS here. And let's talk about the OLED, which is the reason why the iPhone XS starts at $1099. You also get more resolution on it. The iPhone XS gives you 2436 by 1125 pixel at 458 ppi and a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio. Where on the iPhone 7 Plus here, you're getting about 1920 by 1080 pixel at 401 ppi, around 1300:1 contrast ratio. So because of that OLED, of course the XS has a better display. But besides that, both of the phones have things like 3D touch, wide color display. They both also have same amount of bright in it. So both of them have around 625 bright max in it. This is something you'll notice probably when you're outside and messing around with how bright these phones can get. One thing missing from the 7 Plus that's on the XS is the True Tone display that you get. So True Tone, what that allows the phone to do is that it's allowed the phone to automatically adjust the ambient based on the condition and the environment you're in, which makes the screen feel more realistic and more crystal clear when you're looking where you're switching between different environment and the lighting of it. And let's talk about other aspect of hardware is the water resistivity between these two phones. What kind of water resistivity does both of the phones have? Well, good news, both of the phones are water resistant. So that's something you'll notice is that they are water resistant phone, but slightly different. The iPhone XS here gives you 2 meters for up to 30 minutes compared to 1 meter in underwater for the iPhone 7 Plus. But one thing we want to mention, because both of the phones are water resistant, the iPhone XS, because it is back and front is all glass, if there's any nick, crack or something, water can get in easily on the XS compared to the iPhone 7 Plus. Anything, for example, if there's a crack on the front screen, you don't have to worry about the back being much compromised in terms of the crack because of the aluminum body. It feels like the aluminum protects it from that area, but of course then you don't have wireless charging on it. And talking about wireless charging and much more, we want to talk about the battery on these two phones. Surprisingly, the batteries are pretty much similar. The mAh, if you look at between these two devices, the iPhone XS has a 2658 mAh and the iPhone 7 Plus has a little bit bigger battery actually. It has a 2900 mAh battery. What does that really mean for the battery life? Well, we want to talk about, when you talk about battery life, is the video playback you get on these devices. Both of them phone actually gets around 14 hours of video playback. So if you're looking for a video playback between these two devices, about the same. Both of the phones, if you're a light to maybe a medium user, both of the phones will get you throughout the whole day on a full single charge. So you don't have to worry about that. But if you're anyone from light to a heavy user, so you're constantly using the phone, both of the phones will not get you throughout the day. You'll probably get through 3/4 of the day before the phone needs a charge again, because that OLED on this one does take up a lot of more power, but its battery has improved, and that's why we're seeing the battery life being around the same. And lastly, we want to talk about the hardware chip built on both of these two phones, which is something you'll probably notice once you start gaming heavy, is what kind of chip do you have between these two devices. Well, they're slightly different because the iPhone 7 here was released in 2016 versus iPhone XS, which was released in 2018. The iPhone 7 Plus here has that A10 Fusion chip. On the iPhone XS, there's the A12 Bionic chip. So two set of chip improvement, and that's why if you're playing more heavy graphic game, you'll notice the iPhone XS, of course, does a better job of it. And talking about the better job of that, we want to talk about the other piece and the fact that between these two phones, one thing you'll notice is their actual feature on the front screen here is the home button. That's not, of course, available because there's no home button on the iPhone XS. You're able to use Face ID, so the different kind of way to do your unlocking of the phone that we want to mention. And now let's move on to the next exciting piece around the software of both of the phones. Of course, you see between both of these phones, they have iOS 14 with the app library, the bigger app widget, all of that. Both of the phones are supported. And we'll notice one thing between these two phones is although they're supported, the iPhone 7 Plus might not even get the next update, which is iOS 15. There's slight chance of that it will get iOS 15, but iOS 16 for sure. iPhone 7 will not be getting that update, so it's coming towards the end of its life. Maybe another year and a half or so will be supported for the iPhone 7 Plus. On the other hand, iPhone XS, it's going to get at least another 2 to 3 years of update because Apple tends to have updates for at least 4 to 5 years for a phone. The iPhone XS will give you a lot more in terms of updates. So if you're looking for a phone for a longer run, the iPhone XS is what you want. Of course, between these two phones, all of your apps we've seen, from gaming to your entertainment app, all of your social media apps, all of that runs smoothly on both of these devices. There's no issue with compatibility as of right now that we have seen. No glitches or things like that, or even lag between it. So even your productivity tool, financing tool, your popular tools that you use between these two phones are supported, will be supported, and works phenomenally. Of course, if you're a user that don't care about all that fancy stuff and looking for a phone that simply does calling and texting, of course, both of these phones does excellent job in that. No matter what you're using it, the phone does have some pretty much the same equivalence for that piece. You'll notice between these two phones, that's exceptionally well done. And let's talk about the final piece of the phone is why might you get the iPhone 7 Plus versus the iPhone XS? Well, the iPhone 7 Plus here does give you a 9% more battery power, where the XS here gives you a lot more in it. You have 14% higher pixel resolution. You have 1 gig of more memory. You have 32% higher resolution, 5.5 bigger screen display, and also get max storage 512 gig more. So a lot more going on with the iPhone XS. Of course, if you're deciding between both of these devices, go with the XS here, of course. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this video is helpful. Leave a comment in the comment section if either of these phones you're using or looking to buy. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.